What's going on, guys? TowerNumberNine here. I am here with my latest of the Force 5 series, where I'm playing at least 5 games with every leader in the new Jump to Lightspeed set for Star Wars Unlimited TCG. Here we have Grand Admiral Thrawn, and Grand Admiral Thrawn is a very interesting leader. So on his leader side, when you use a when defeated ability, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, use that ability again. And he deploys as a 4/7 on 6 resources and has when you use a when defeated ability, you may use that ability again. Use this ability only once per round. So basically the same thing, except you do not have to exhaust. And you can potentially use this ability twice in a turn by using it first on his leader side and then deploying and using it again. 6 for a 4/7 is decent. There are other leaders with that stat line. He has a lot of cards that synergize with him due to those when defeated abilities, and there are many ways to build him. But what I thought was fun was to do an exploit deck. So if Jump to Lightspeed made clones good with the Unity of Purpose deck for Captain Rex being far stronger than previous compositions, I was curious, did Thrawn get the same treatment for Battle Droid tokens? So I'm not sure that this is actually super competitive, but it's a fun and interesting deck to try, and there might be something there. So basically, the way this deck is going to work is it uses Thrawn's leader ability to fuel exploit in conjunction with when defeated effects that make token units. It's a very useful combination for setting up those bigger exploit plays. And ironically, it seems to me that Thrawn is actually better at this than the separatist leaders Newt Gunray and Wat Tambor, who seem to be built around using exploit in that fashion. So what we have is some when defeated effects that make tokens. So classic cards from Jump to Lightspeed, from Twilight of the Republic, like Wartime Trade Official and Confederate Courier, joined by Chimera from Jump to Lightspeed, which makes TIE Fighter tokens. And what we're combining this with is Thrawn's ability to double those when defeated effects. So when your Wartime Trade Official gets defeated, you're going to get 2 Battle Droid tokens instead of 1. And we then have some exploit targets that we can bring out early. So Droideka Security is a great option. You can often play this card for 4 or even for 2, thanks to its exploit. Battle Droid Legion gets a special mention here because Battle Droid Legion is not only a card to play with exploit, but it also gives you fuel for further exploits because its when defeated ability creates 3 Battle Droid tokens. And with Thrawn, that gets doubled to make 6 Battle Droid tokens, and all of a sudden, that could be a big problem for your opponent to deal with. Malevolence over here, another good exploit target, gives you a 7/7 with Restore 2, which is quite strong, and also when played, prevents an enemy unit from attacking this phase and debuffs it. So you have some targets that you're looking for with exploit. You have the ability to create a bunch of battle droids thanks to Thrawn's ability, and you end up those things end up combining fairly well. So here is the Force 5 Thrawn deck in its current form. We have the Confederate Courier. Director Krennic, 2/2 shielded is already a good start, and then he discounts units that have when defeated abilities, and you have a bunch of those because you're using Thrawn synergy there, so nice there. Val's when defeated ability can be really good when doubled. Wartime Trade Official, like Confederate Courier, makes a battle droid. Cobb Vanth can be one of your prime ECL targets. When defeated, you search the top 10 cards of your deck for a unit that costs 2 or less. You discard it, and then you can play it for free. You can double that with Thrawn. So I've frequently been able to do something like Cobb Vanth, ambush with ECL, kill a unit, get 2 units back. Really good deal. Super Laser Technician, just a classic. Resupply, another ramp piece. Iden Versio pilot version can be played either as a pilot or as a ground unit with good stats and shielded. Can work well with ECL in some situations. TIE Ambush Squadron, another way to make tokens when played and when defeated, can also ambush in and defeat certain space units. Clone Commander Cody gives you a coordinate buff for the token army if you do end up with a bunch of tokens and not a lot to do with them. Rook is another energy conversion lab target. He can jump in there and pick off a key piece. Overwhelming Barrage, of course. Chimera, already discussed. Droideka Security, already discussed. We have Avenger as a high-end endgame card, as well as Annihilator, and we are running the Invasion of Christophsis. Then in the sideboard, we have Confiscate for dealing with decks that have a bunch of upgrades. We have both Merciless Contest and Power of the Dark Side to add some more removal if needed, as well as a Rival's Fall for hitting those big targets or decks with buffed leaders. So overall, I think this is an interesting deck. Invasion of Christophsis, I want to highlight that here. 15 cost event with Exploit 4. Choose an opponent, defeat each unit that player controls. This card is incredible if it goes off because it is a one-sided board wipe, which is really, really good, but it costs 15, which is terrible if you don't have tokens up. Honestly, there's a reasonable argument that I should just be running Super Laser Blast instead of Invasion of Christophsis. synopsis, but I wanted to try it out. I think it's cool. It works especially well with Battle Droid Legion to create a huge number of tokens. You could swap it out. There are definite advantages to Super Laser Blast in particular. If you have units on the board that make units when defeated, like Cobb Vanth or like the Battle Droid Legion, or even just the more basic ones, Super Laser Blast will leave you with some units on board and your opponent without units on board because you get to make tokens and they don't. So that could easily be changed. Another option for removal would be to consider adding No Gloria only results, which can help deal with cards like Pilot Chewie or Lurking TIE Phantom that are otherwise very hard to remove. But that overall, I think the deck is, it's a little experimental here. It's definitely focused around a playstyle that is, in a sense older, but I think Thrawn actually brings a really interesting new twist to it, and I've been surprised and amused at how well he works with this. Now, is this the best way to play Thrawn? I'm not sure, but it was one that I saw and thought was cool. I know that there are other Thrawn decks that rely on different when defeated effects. You can see stuff like the Onyx Squadron tie. You can do Thrawn Red and play things like Droid Missile Platform, which can be really strong with when defeated, or Ruthless Raider, also very relevant there. But I thought it was cool to make this deck that was focused on the tokens and those synergies. Perhaps you agree, perhaps you disagree, but yeah, that's my Force 5 Thrawn deck. And yeah, what do you think? Is this a build that seems really silly to you? Do you want to do other stuff with Thrawn? Have you been trying this style of deck and found some better cards to be playing with Exploit, or some other units that I should be including that I've omitted? I'd be curious to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. And yeah, until next time, stay tuned for more. I'm TowerNumber9, and I will catch you guys later.